Folks, Donald Trump is no poet.
Just this week it was reported that an illegal and you just look at this, what's happening.
In fact, after that incoherent jumble, I'd say he's hardly a person anymore and just a string of dementia-ridden ramblings of word salad held together by his Big Mac meat sack of a body.
What are 2 things you do to stay healthy?
Well, I used to play golf a little bit. I try and eat properly. I do the best, and I try and get some. I do, but proper hamburgers. I like perhaps all of the wrong food, but then I say, does anybody know what the right food is?
You're
I
right
had people
about that.
lecturing me for years. Oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. They're gone.
But Donald Trump does embody one prophetic quote from the author Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "Speak what you think today in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradicts everything you said today." Because just a day after new polls came out showing a massive surge in polling for Harris, with her leading by 5 points nationally, and Trump saying this,
If you're not successful this time, do you see yourself running again in 4 years?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think that will be it. I don't see that at all. I think that hopefully we're going to be successful.
Donald Trump was immediately back to his old ways, ranting to high heaven about Democrats cheating to win the election, directly after he himself was dealt a devastating blow in his and Republicans' bid to change Nebraska's electoral vote rules in their favor. Sorry, Downey, it's just not your day. Maybe you should relax with a healthy dose of golf. But taking the latter situation first, so we can add a bit of context to Trump's insane allegations against Democrats about cheating and show how they're yet another example of Republican projection, pro-Trump Republicans in Nebraska have been working to change how the state allots its electoral votes just 43 days ahead of the November election. With Forbes reporting, Nebraska awards 2 electoral votes to the winner of the state at large and awards the remaining 3 votes to the winner of the 3 House districts, one of which, covering the state's largest city, Omaha, is an outlier in the deep red state and typically votes Democratic. And Republicans, famous for their greatest election interfering hits like gerrymandering, committing fraud, and full-on threatening to hang the vice president for certifying a completely free and fair election, want to change that system to a winner-takes-all approach, which all states except Maine and Nebraska use to increase the chances that Trump takes all 5 electoral votes. Because nothing says I'm a desperate snowflake like changing the rules to the game at the last minute to be in your favor. A good analogy would be essentially they want to make Nebraska like the refs at a Chiefs game, blatantly ignoring pass interference that removes the rights of every other team to have a fair shot at winning against the former Super Bowl champs. Alright, maybe that is a stretch, but seriously, come on, how is this not pass interference? Anyway, this has the potential to be pretty disruptive. As Forbes reports, the change could lead to a scenario where Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, should she carry the blue wall states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, but no other swing states, tie each other with 269 electoral votes, leaving it to the GOP-controlled House where Trump has the clear advantage to choose the winner. And as if that wasn't bad enough, just listen to how prettiest belle at the ball in South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tried to justify the move on Meet the Press this weekend.
I think Nebraska has been talking about this for years. It is a very close election. 63 days ago, Chuck Schumer led a coup to overthrow Joe Biden, and he's telling me or any other Republican what we should be doing. If they change the law in Nebraska, it won't be on the phone in the middle of the night. It will be through a democratic process. The entire federal delegation of Nebraska, House members and 2 senators, want this change. To my friends in Nebraska, that one electoral vote could be the difference between Harris being president or not, and she's a disaster for Nebraska and the world.
I hear you calling it a coup. Of course, Democrats have the right to change who's at the top
so
of their
does,
ticket.
so does Nebraska.
What a classic two-faced Republican trope to blame the other side of staging a coup for legally replacing their nominee, while your side literally staged a fucking coup and still denies it.
Okay, so you agree that people who break in and vandalize a building should be prosecuted?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just checking because you did help raise money for people who did so on January 6th, which was, impeding an official proceeding, breaking into a building that they weren't allowed to be in, and vandalizing the Capitol.
Well, Caitlin, I know that this is the obsession of the national media to talk about what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago on January the 6th.
It's not an obsession. I'm just seeing if it's a double standard.
Let me answer the question.
No thanks, JD. I'd rather not hear you blame January 6th on Haitian migrants. But anyway, here is the good news before we dive into Donald Trump and the insane news. The New York Times reported today that Mike McDonnell, a Nebraska state senator who was a Democrat and turned to the dark side and became a Republican recently,
on the dark side,
made an oddly logical point for a Republican, though it was probably his inner Democrat speaking, by saying today that he wouldn't back the change, expressing concerns that it would blunt Nebraska's national significance in the election process and that it was being made too close to Election Day.
Yes, God.
Hallelujah, God.
Yes,
we don't want no devils in the house, God.
And McDonnell's announcement effectively killed the GOP's hopes to change the law, as Republican Governor Jim Pillen, who has long said he backs the proposal, said he would not call a special legislative session to implement the change without the support of all 33 Republican senators. And that is a major blow to Trump, who will likely no longer receive that electoral vote. And if that wasn't a clear enough example of how desperate he and the Republican Party are in this election, just wait until you hear the insane projections he lobbed at Democrats on Truth Social today. Really echoing the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, he screamed on Truth Social, "The Democrats are talking about how they're working so hard to get millions of votes from Americans living overseas. Actually, they are getting ready to cheat." And I mean, you gotta give what he's saying a little sliver of credibility here, because as they say, it takes one to know one. They are going to use UOCAVA to get ballots, a program that emails ballots overseas without any citizenship check or verification of identity whatsoever. Foreign interference? I love how he's just calling himself out for all the shit that he's actually done or had done on his behalf with ample evidence of. Remember, they say we have the, quote, most secure elections in history and anyone can get a ballot emailed to them. They want to dilute the true vote of our beautiful military and their families, who Comrade Kamala has totally disrespected and abandoned. I mean, he's on a roll. Republicans must act to stop them from stealing our military votes. Watch. Remember, if you vote illegally, you're going to jail. Which is hilariously ironic because many states have laws making it illegal for convicted felons to vote. You can't make this stuff up. But here's the kicker, folks. As insane and nonsensical as all of this incoherent rambling on Trump's part is, and as much as nothing he says here has any evidence to support it or really credibility whatsoever, Republicans and people who don't have processed mush making up their entire diet and brain matter are currently and will continue to try to interfere in ways that can still be legal and justified by state legislators and the supremely corrupt court. And even though we know it is morally reprehensible and wrong, Trump's base and Republican constituents either will not understand or will not care. Because when Trump says these lies over and over again to his supporters and those in power taking advantage of his supporters' stupidity, like Lindsey Graham or almost every Nebraska Republican, those lies become alternative facts that those people base their Magadonian reality on. And it sucks that we have to say this and take on the responsibility, but it is up to us to call this out and fight against it by not only voting for the much more qualified and progressive candidate for president, but also by voting blue down the ballot to save this country, our democracy, and our fellow citizens from themselves and the demagogues they so blindly follow. So thank you for watching. Drop a like and subscribe if you agree, and please share this far and wide so folks can see just how desperate these Republicans are to move the goalposts like the refs do for the Chiefs. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.